Here's the drill you need to get maximum spin on your kick serve. Check out this shape and whipping action. This is what you want to see.
Are you having trouble getting spin on your kick serve, or your kick serve sits up a little bit? Well, stay tuned. I've got my favorite tips to help you maximize your kick serve and get that big jump, bounce it over the other guy's head. Hey, it's Chris Lewitt, top American coach and head coach of Tennis Evolution. Let's talk about the kick serve, and I'm going to share with you my favorite drills right now. Guys, I would say the first drill and tip that's so important is to get a deep back scratch. And what I mean by that is when you hit a good kick serve, the racket should come way down here, and it should actually come past your butt, which may seem crazy for some of you, but if you see the best servers in the world, the racket literally gets down here before it flings upward and accelerates up to the ball. So for most people, they cut that short. And most people have tight shoulders, tight scapular mobility, and you gotta work on that. One of the best ways to work on that is literally taking your racket and using it as a stretching tool. And so this is one of my favorite drills slash warm-ups. I'll show you the hitting part in a moment, but look what I'm doing with my racket. I'm taking it in my other hand, and I'm basically helping to get the range of motion in my shoulder. In the scapula is the shoulder blade area. So I'm trying to get this racket deep down. If you can see, I'm trying to pull it past down below my waist, near my butt cheeks. And if you can get the racket near your butt cheeks, you're in business, real business. Because then you can get this better upward trajectory. That's the key. If you only back scratch till here, you don't get as much acceleration because you don't have as much runway to accelerate, and you don't get as good a trajectory or a racket path. So to get a maximum kick, you need the racket coming from way down here and coming up at an angle to the ball in a left to right swing path. And you got to get real down deep so you can get that maximum acceleration. And imagine it's just like a runway for takeoff. If you have more runway, the airplane can take off faster. So here, the deeper I can get down into here, the more external rotation I have in my shoulder. That's what you're looking at, external rotation here. Maximum point of external rotation, get that deep drop, and then I can get this long pathway to accelerate up to the ball. Think about this acceleration effect here. So that's the secret. So you need to, A, stretch your shoulder out and make sure you can do that. It helps to have a little flexibility in your upper back too. So like thoracic extension and even cervical extension to try to get down there. The little bit of back arch helps if you have no back issues. That helps too. And then what you can do is add the ball in. So you can make this into a drill with the ball. And what I used to do, like with my old coach, Gilad Bloom, who's an amazing coach, one of the best coaches in the world from Israel, is we would actually start like this. And I had this issue on my kick serve, and this absolutely transformed my kick serve when I was younger, training for the pro circuit. I worked with Gilad for many years, and this is one of the drills that transformed my kick serve, literally. So this is a personal journey for me, a personal experience. As what we used to do is put the racket down here and then toss and then go to hit it. And what you'll notice is for most people, even if they can get down there when they're stretched like this, as soon as you toss, look what happens. The racket will come up and then you'll hit it with a short pathway. So the key is elongating that pathway and working on anchoring this racket real deep, getting this position with the elbow pointing straight up, the racket pointing straight down. I call this the inverted racket position. And then learning to accelerate from down here. So you can toss up and accelerate from down there. It doesn't have to go over the net. Don't worry about the product. Don't worry about the result here. The goal is to learn to get the shoulder to this point where you can really stretch and reach down here and feel this vertical inverted position of the racket and learn to get that tip down, elbow up, and accelerate from down there. That's the key. And you don't want to pop up early. Most people, when they toss, they pop up early. You want to maximize that long pathway of acceleration. Yeah, that's a really good one. Remember, you're not going to hit like a massive kick serve from this. This is a drill to get range of motion and to also teach your body the motor skill of and awareness of where your racket needs to be down in this range here. If you can't get down to where I'm getting, you know, do the best you can. Like I've had some adults who had very tight shoulders. I coached a few adults, competitive adults who had previous surgery, and they were still able to get a really good kick serve even though they didn't have the maximal range of motion. You just do the best you can with what you got. So you get down here and you stay sideways, you toss it up and you accelerate. And if you could hear that one, if it came off the mic, great spinny sound. If you can get that nice spinny sound, even better. But imagine the building blocks here. If you don't have this, I'm telling you, you can't learn a great kick. If you can't get down into here, more or less, you can't hit a great kick. You must have this building block in order to get the acceleration upward. And this is one of my favorite drills, and it dovetails into this understanding that you must have range of motion. You must have drop here in order to get a nice kick up there. That was a good one. I like the sound on that one. I got to get this down. It's still popping up. As soon as I let go, look, it's popping up to here. And the goal is to get it down into here and to go through this quickly. You know, to get down to here and get a very quick acceleration up there. Wow. That's what the pros do. They get that power loop going. It's amazing. So guys, try this. Get down here. Reach down past your butt. Don't bend your back like this. Keep your back straight. Upper back bends a little. And stretch daily. And then add this drill in with the ball and work on your acceleration up there, getting that long pathway. I promise you, if you fix this, it will absolutely transform your kick. I know from personal experience. So guys, this second drill is called the dirty diaper drill. It's made famous by Jeff Salzenstein, who's the founder of Tennis Evolution, who was a top 100 ATP professional and brilliant coach. And Jeff came up with this famous term, dirty diaper. So what that looks like is this. The racket is pointing to the body and the elbow is high and there's an extreme bend and looseness in the arm. The technical term for this would be elbow flexion and shoulder internal rotation, ISR. So the shoulder is really internally rotated here and the elbow is flexed and the racket is pointing here. So it looks, it's kind of like holding the dirty diaper. That's the joke. So it's just a great name, very memorable. But what you don't want to do is swing, like most people try to pronate. Like they try to pronate and their arm gets straight as if they're hitting like a flat serve or a power serve. We don't recommend that. We'd like you to stay loose and bent and just work on brushing and finishing with the dirty diaper. And you can think of this as a way to develop extreme looseness on your kick. You must be very loose and floppy. You want to feel really floppy here and have a nice drift here. Hang this racket down here at the end of your serve. Be gentle on your shoulder. I'm very relaxed here. I'm not tightening my shoulder up. I feel no pain or tension on my shoulder right now, and you shouldn't either. So you want to be whippy, right? Remember the first drill where you got to get down to here, and then we want to be whippy, loose, and floppy with the arm. Floppy and loose, fluid, elastic, so we can get a lot of spin on the ball. And what happens to most people is they tighten through here, they tighten here. A lot of coaches teach pronation, which we don't think is important to think about. It can happen. It does happen with high-level servers, but it's certainly not something you need to think about when you're hitting a kick serve. And in the next drill, I'll explain what's even more important than pronation, because I think it's something that a lot of people don't understand about what the wrist and the forearm is actually doing. But in this exercise and in this drill, the goal is to hit the serve, try to stay sideways. That's important too. It's a very important part of the kick serve. And the goal is to finish dirty diaper style. And I'll show you what a few of those look like. So start very gently, Don't swing fast, and just go through the motion and stay floppy with your arm. Reach up, brush left to right, and finish floppy. Finish dirty diaper style. Do it dirty style, dirty diaper style. See. That was a good one. Loose and floppy. Don't try to straighten your arm. I've seen some coaches teaching that. That's going to create a lot of tension in your arm, and you're not going to have that extreme looseness that you need for a kicker. By working on the dirty diaper, you're going to get your arm super loose, get very supple and elastic through here, and you're going to help maintain you reduce the rigidity in your arm, and it's going to give you a lot more spin and kick for sure. And it's really one of the keys to unlocking a kick serve if you struggled with that before. That was a pretty good one. All right, guys, my third favorite tip for the kick serve: make your kick serve hop. It's a 2-for-1, 2 tips in one that's going to transform your kick. And this is huge for me too. It starts with the grip. So grip tip, you need to use almost an Eastern backhand grip. So if a one-handed backhand grip. So if you have an OHBH, one-handed backhand, OHBH, you want to use a nice Eastern grip with the knuckle on top. And that's going to help close your racket strings and create more friction when you brush across the ball. Just in the same way that using a semi-Western or Western grip would help you achieve more topspin, the same thing is true for the kick serve, except you got to go over to the backhand side. So very important to have this knuckle close to the top, just like an Eastern one-handed backhand like Wawrinka or Federer. You want to use that grip for your serve. And that has unlocked the kick serve for so many of my students. I mean, literally hundreds and hundreds of top juniors and adult players that I've worked with. That has been maybe the biggest shift, the grip. And it's not just the grip. So this is where the second tip comes in. It's also the whip. So I like to say grip and whip. And the whip is up top here. You have this grip closed, and the whip is coming from not pronation. And so that's where people get really confused. If you think about pronation here, you're going to end up hitting flat. You're actually going to reduce your spin. So the key to the spin is the snap of the elbow, more or less. It's not really an active snap. It's like a passive release of the elbow. So it's whip there, but it's also whip in the wrist here, which is a combination of ulnar deviation, which is pinky side movement. So imagine your wrist here, and look at my movement here, like when I'm throwing down a hammer. So that pinky movement, that's what gives you that little extra special brush up there, and that's what's quote unquote the snap. It's in the pinky side of the wrist. It's not the pronation of the forearm. So don't get confused. People are focusing on the wrong wrist or forearm movement. It's pinky movement, pinky side. And then so you have this elbow release, and you have the pinky side movement of the wrist. Most of this is not active. Most of this is like passive movement down at the end stages of the kinetic chain. So, you know, there's a whole kinetic chain thing happening here. And at the end of the whip is your elbow and wrist, and they need to be super loose. And it's this type of movement. Look how I'm fanning my fingers out. Sometimes this is called wrist abduction, or depending on where your hand is. The wrist is ulnarly deviating, if you want to get scientific. Whoopsh, whoopsh. And if you can add that snappiness, that looseness, along with the elbow looseness, along with the grip, now you're going to have this amazing spin on the kick. And I'll just show you, it's not going to be a big kick serve there, but a great drill for this, you can just start by even just placing the ball up here and working on the wrist movement. Watch my wrist. And then how do you finish? dirty diaper style, just like tip number 2. So you're looking for Eastern backhand grip, huge factor in getting spin, unlocks the spin for many people. And then you're going to brush. First tip we talked about getting way down here, but in this drill you just need to start here and literally just work on this movement. Look, you can put the ball up there, and my wrist is, I have a little bit of flexion, and I have ulnar deviation and flexion, and that's what Jeff calls the dirty diaper. And you have internal shoulder rotation. My elbow's loose, so my elbow's super loose. My elbow joint's unlocked and loose. My wrist is loose, but not in the sense of pronating, or it's in the sense of ulnar deviation and wrist flexion. And that's what you see at the end here. It kind of looks like a gooseneck. It's the dirty diaper. It looks kind of like a gooseneck because the wrist is super flexible and loose and fluid, and that's what gives you that extra bit of racket head speed going across the ball here. So this is an excellent little drill you can do. You just place the ball up here, and then you can work on the wrist movement. You can even add a little elbow if you want. And the ball's not supposed to go far. You just try to spin it. Spin it into the dirty diaper. Wrist and ulnar deviation, and then spin into the dirty diaper. Work on your high elbow finish here. It's a great little drill. Then you can go back to either the first drill. You could start down here. Try not to start here. This is where a lot of people go wrong. You try to accelerate from here, you don't get as much spin. If I accelerate from down here or down, down in this area, this is the pro area. I'm going to get a lot more action on the ball because there's just a longer runway. But when you put all these together, you got the long runway, you got the whippy wrist, but the correct way, the ulnar deviation, the whippy elbow, ulnar deviation out here, and then you have the dirty diaper finish to sort of put the whole thing together, be loose. You're definitely gonna unlock your kick. You're gonna break through ceilings that you've been stuck in for a long time. Put it all together, you can add the full motion. Just think about, as you're going up, think about that wrist movement. I hope you got a lot of value from these kick serve tips and drills. If you like this kick serve video, check out my other kick serve videos right here.